Happy Independence Day, everybody! Welcome to our 6th annual Declaration of Independence Recitation event. I am Joanna Kerr, the Executive Director of the North Andover Historical Society. We are here to celebrate our nation's founding and the signing of the Declaration of Independence by activist patriots 249 years ago. Today's speakers will share their speeches in much the same way that news and opinion was delivered on town commons and in meeting houses in early America. The historic speeches and documents recited today are all original and edited only for length. In addition to the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights, we have selected historic speeches that highlight the struggle for democracy and justice throughout American history. Defining freedom resonates across many of today's conflicts for democracy, equity, and justice. Behind every stride forward were individuals who swayed opinions, demanded equality, and inspired people. We offered these historic readings to both celebrate and reflect upon our nation's past. This program is hosted by the Friends of the 1836 Meeting House and the North Andover Historical Society, with organizational support from the North Andover Festival Committee. We received financial support from Mass Humanities through the Massachusetts Cultural Council. Thank you to those organizations. We start today's program with a land acknowledgement, a respectful way to honor the land and the peoples indigenous to it. Alex Bass will be reading the land acknowledgement he wrote as an 8th grader at North Andover Middle School during the Civics in Action class taught by Pat McGravy, who we will hear from later. Alex is a student at the Governor's Academy. He belongs to the Turtle Clan of the Onondaga Nation.
As we gather here today, we respectfully acknowledge the town of North Andover's presence on the traditional lands of the Pennacook and Pawtucket nations. As the original stewards of this land, they lived with great respect for the land and for each other for countless generations before the onslaught of colonization, genocide, and forced removal. We honor all indigenous peoples who lived on this land before colonization, who live here today, and all future generations. We pledge to learn the true history of indigenous peoples of this land and to support and listen to indigenous voices and communities today to promote respect, equity, and justice. We also acknowledge the many contributions indigenous peoples have made to our society and pledge to learn from indigenous cultures to honor and respect the land and the people.
The choral majority gospel choir will perform United in America, an original anthem urging us all to be intentional peacemakers. The choral majority is a Merrimack Valley-based non-profit arts ministry who shared their message of faith, love, and unity across New England for over 30 years.
It's time to stand united in America, to feel the pride of a nationwide, diversified and strong. Yes, it's time to stand united in America, to reflect
looking for love and joy as we share the voyage of life, our gift to claim. When will we see we are blessed to just be free? Let us live our liberty, get to know each other, sister, brother, live our dream.
I have a dream. It's time to stand united in America, to feel the pride of a nation wide, diversified and strong. Yes, it's time to stand united in America, to refuse the views of hate, 'cause it's love that made us great here in America. A small mind makes a hard mind. Deep down you know we're all the same. We're looking for love and joy as we share the voyage of life, our gift to claim. When will we see we are blessed to just be free? Let us live our liberty, get to know each other, sister, brother, live our dream. I have a dream. It's time to stand united in America, to feel the pride of a nation wide, diversified and strong. Yes, it's time to stand united in America. And if you don't know all the treasures every human heart can share, look inside the eyes of a stranger, you will find yourself there. America, America, God's shed His grace on thee.
One nation under God, indivisible,
With liberty and justice for all.
here we go.
Come together, celebrate. Come together, celebrate. Come together, celebrate. 'Cause it's love that made us great here in America. Here in America. It's up to me, it's up to you.
Before independence, the North American colonies were governed by the British monarchy. The British government had regulated trade for more than a century, starting in 1765, King George had pushed a number of new taxes on colonists. Knowing that local juries would acquit their fellow colonists who violated these tax acts, the king took away the right to civil trials and declared that suspects would be tried before British military officers. 7,000 residents of Boston shared the streets with more than 13,000 British soldiers and their families. The two groups coexisted uneasily. Militia from North Andover and Andover, then a single town, trained at the mustering field at Kittredge Farm. On April the 19th, 1775, when the first fighting broke, the militia met at North Parish Meeting House and marched to Concord and Lexington, and ended up pursuing the retreating British regulars. These brave patriots went on to fight in the Battle of Bunker Hill and beyond. In August, the king declared the colonists in a state of open and avowed rebellion. For the first time, many colonists began to seriously consider cutting ties with Britain. The colonists elected delegates to attend a continental congress that eventually became the governing body of the colonies during the Revolution. On June the 7th, 1776, Richard Henry Lee introduced a resolution that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states. They appointed a committee of 5 to write an announcement explaining the reasons for independence. Thomas Jefferson wrote the first draft. On July the 2nd, 1776, Congress voted to declare independence. 2 days later, it ratified the text of the Declaration of Independence that we will now hear. At the most basic level, the Declaration of Independence is a list of grievances against the monarchy of England's King George III, seeking the sympathy of the international community for the cause of the colonies in revolting against their mother country and declaring themselves free of kings. But at a higher level, the ideas expressed in the Declaration serve as the inspiration for American democratic values. I now present our readers of the Declaration of Independence, State Representative Tram Nguyen and Senator Barry Feingold.
The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men and women, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experiences have shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and earth's passions pursuing invariably the same object, events that is designed to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessities which constrains them to alter their form, systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries, representations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world.
He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us, in times of peace, standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states.
For cutting our trade with all parts of the world. For imposing taxes on us without our consent. For depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury. For transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments. For suspending our own legislators and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burned our towns, destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with circumstances of cruelty scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous age and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages whom known rule of war for is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions.
In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for the redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been unanswered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend any unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends.
We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress, assembled appealing to the supreme judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, to, in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states. That's right. That they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connections between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have the full power to levy war, to conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all the other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with the firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Thank you, Senator Feingold and Representative Nguyen. The Declaration of Independence severed our legal ties to Great Britain. The U.S. Constitution was established at the end of the war and 12 years after the Declaration of Independence to affirm that the government of the United States exists to serve its citizens, and it begins, "We, the people of the United States." The first three articles of the U.S. Constitution are the foundation of the U.S. government, establishing a system of separation of powers and checks and balances to prevent any one branch from becoming too powerful. This legislative branch is tasked with making laws and budget for the nation. The executive branch is supposed to carry out and enforce the laws made by Congress, while the judicial branch interprets the laws and the Constitution and settles disputes. The Bill of Rights was added in response to concerns that the Constitution did not explicitly list individual rights and could potentially lead to tyranny. North Andover Middle School Civics in Action teacher Patrick McGravy will lead our segment on the Bill of Rights.
Good morning, everyone, and happy 4th of July on this beautiful, beautiful day. My name is Pat McGravy, and I teach the 8B Civics in Action course at the North Andover Middle School. I'd like to thank the North Andover Historical Society and the organizers of this event to invite my students, or my former students and I here today to speak about the Bill of Rights. I think the goal of this today is, as we hear the Bill of Rights and we hear the Declaration of Independence, these are living documents that are alive today, and my 8th graders study them, and it's very, very obvious that they are very vibrant today. In 2018, the Civic Action Law was passed by the state legislature and signed into law by then Governor Charlie Baker. All NAM's 8th graders now have an interactive life skills type of civics class where these founding documents are examined with the students directly applying each of them into their lives with a student-led civics project, also known around NAMS as the Slick Pro. These 4 students, along with hundreds of their classmates, have participated in these valuable and rewarding experiences. I am so proud to involve these former students as we move into the 6th year of the civics program, transforming them into civically engaged members of their community. In my annual Bill of Rights project, all of my students pick an amendment and complete an application project on the amendment that is most important to them. These are the top 4 amendments selected by NAM civic students over the past 5 years, read by my former students. I'm going to introduce them. They're going to come up, they're going to read the text of the amendment, and then they're briefly going to have some remarks on what it means to them today. So the First Amendment. So Alex Bass was already introduced at the beginning of today's program, but was also one of the first NAMS civic students to do a Slick Pro and take real action, as evidenced by him reading his land acknowledgement at this ceremony for the 4th year in a row. Congratulations, Alex. I'm so proud of you. His topic was also implemented into a recent North Andover town meeting, working with town moderator Mark DeSalvo. I'm going to invite Alex to come up to the microphone and read the First Amendment and just make some brief remarks.
Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. The First Amendment of the United States Constitution provides us the freedom to practice our own religion without interference, to gather peacefully, to petition our government, and to express our opinions and ideas without censorship or punishment. These rights matter because they allow us to express our faith, question authority, and learn from diverse perspectives, and work towards social change without fear. It means we can speak our truths, join others in meaningful causes, and along with a watchful and free press, hold our leaders accountable. The First Amendment doesn't just protect our individual rights. It empowers us all to fully participate in our democracy.
Our second student is Parker Dubman. Parker is a sophomore at North Andover High School and did his 2024 Slick Pro on removing the grade 10 MCAS graduation requirement, which successfully passed last fall. So congratulations for his help on that. Parker received a commendation from DESE at the 2024 Slick Pro Showcase. Parker and his partner Shrajit testified in the spring at the Massachusetts State House at a hearing on the progress of civic education as well, and showcased their work at the 2024 National Council of Social Studies Convention in Boston in front of hundreds of educators across the country. So I'm going to have Parker read the fourth and share some comments on that.
The Fourth Amendment to the Constitution says, "The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized." The Fourth Amendment protects people from unlawful search and seizures. The government cannot exhibit a search unless it is issued with a warrant or if a person is consenting to a search. This is necessary to have freedom and to have the right to be protected from unlawful search and seizures. This protects everyone, their safety and dignity.
Nice job, Parker. One of the cool things about this program now going into a sixth year is you start having siblings get involved, and this is an example of two siblings that both did remarkable work on Slick Bros, and it's so great that they're both with us today. This is Keshav and Aditya Mandavan, and Keshav is a junior at the North Andover High School, and his brother Aditya will be a freshman at the North Andover High School as well. Both of these young men attained the accomplishment of Eagle Scout over the past few years, and I think that deserves a round of applause. Keshav did a Slick Pro on improving patriotism in the community, having assemblies at elementary schools, working with a central office and making sure we recognize patriotism. And it was such a great project that he's probably still working on a little bit. And this year, as an 8th grader, his brother Aditya selected creating more advanced and challenging courses for NAM students to take in their 8th grade year. I'm going to invite both of them up to do first the 5th Amendment with a little commentary, and then the last amendment we'll be looking at this morning, the 8th, with some commentaries. Come on up, gentlemen.
The Fifth Amendment reads, "No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime, unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense twice, put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor deprived of life, liberty, or property, without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation." This amendment gives the rights to the accused. Some of these rights include double jeopardy, not being able to be tried for the same crime twice, and being able to refuse answers that could self-incriminate yourself. This is commonly called pleading the fifth and is part of the Miranda rights. To me, this amendment is important because it ensures fairness in the legal system. Every person, no matter the crime, deserves to be treated fairly and with dignity. The legal system protects the accused from incriminating themselves and gives a chance for the accused to defend themselves without fear. This amendment shows that the Founding Fathers wanted to establish a system that gives the right for everyone to defend themselves. In everyday life, this reminds me not to judge anyone or a situation based on initial information. One needs to look into all the facts before coming to a conclusion.
Good morning, everyone. There have been numerous amendments that have been added to our Constitution. One of them, the 8th Amendment, reads, "Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted." To most of us, this amendment will have very little relevance to our lives. However, this amendment does shed light about our Founding Fathers. They believed in justice with dignity for everyone, no matter what the circumstances were. They knew to put a limit to government powers as they understood what it meant to be suppressed by a government. This means a lot to me as it reminds me that even in moments of intense judgment, we should not lose sight of the key human values which should define us, such as being equitable and understanding. As the Founding Fathers showed they could have great patience and act fairly with everyone, I remind myself to do the same. So as we celebrate our 249th Independence Day, let's remember this amendment which not only gives us the right to be free, but also the right to be treated fairly. Thank you.
On behalf of my former students tonight, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to do this. I hope this added to the ceremony, and hopefully maybe we'll be back next year with some other students. Thank you so much.
Excellent work.
Thank you so much, Pat, Alex, Parker, Keshav, and Adita. Before we continue with our readings, Rockwood Taylor will play a medley of "I Hear Them All" and "This Land Is Your Land." "I Hear Them All" is a song about listening with compassion and was written by Ketch Sikor and David Rawlings of Old Crow Medicine Show. Woody Guthrie's "This Land Is Your Land" was originally written in response to Woody hearing "God Bless America." Their version today includes 3 long-lost verses. This folk and roll duo consists of Charlie Rockwood Farr and Lynn Taylor, and today, as often, Christy Malpica joins in on percussion and vocals. They tour all over the Northeast and even as far as Tennessee, North Carolina, and Mississippi.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Happy Independence Day. That was a great introduction to the song, which has a long history, a storied history. Woody Guthrie, as many of you know, was a great champion of America, of the American dream. And as he traveled around through the era of the Depression, he saw the American dream as a promise, but also as a paradox. He saw the opportunities that so many had and the disparities of those who did not. He saw the promise of the immigrant dream for hope for a better future and to work hard that could be achieved. And he saw many of those hopes and dreams dashed. And as we sing this song together, and I hope you will join us in solidarity, in unity as Americans, we must remember we are all immigrants. We are all settlers on these indigenous homelands here on Turtle Island. And that no one is illegal on stolen lands. And so we keep the hope alive. We give honor and thank you to Alex and the Haudenosaunee for acknowledging these lands of the Massachusetts and the Pawtucket. And to remember also the promise of democracy and of the revolution, which was not just about taxation without representation. It was also about westward expansion, and it came at a great cost to those of the Six Nations and others whose homes and peoples were decimated. And our very founding document, the Declaration of Independence, the line "merciless Indian savages" is one that is not often repeated, but is important for us to remember. It's the promise and the paradox. But we sing together today in solidarity and unity and hope that the promise of American democracy will one day be fulfilled. We hear them all. Please join us.
One, two, three, go. I hear the crying of the hungry in the deserts where they're wandering. Hear them crying out for heaven's own benevolence upon them. Hear destructive powers prevailing, fools falsely hailing to the crooked wits of tyrants when they call. I hear them all, I hear them all, I hear them all. I hear the sound of tearing pages and the roar of burning paper. All the crimes in acquisition turn to air and ash and vapor, and the rattle of the shackled far beyond the emancipators, the lowliest to gather in their stalls. I hear them all, I hear them all, I hear them all. So while you sit and whistle Dixie with your money and your power, I can hear the flowers grow beneath the rubble of the towers. I hear leaders quit their lying, I hear babies quit their crying, I hear soldiers quit their dying, one and all. I hear them all, I hear them all, I hear them all. Tell us, Charlie. As I went walking, I saw a sign there, and on the sign it said, "No trespassing," but on the other side, it didn't say nothing. Oh, that sign was made for you and me. Everybody, this land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to were asking, well, is this land made for you and me? Now this land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. Nobody living can never stop me as I go walking that freedom highway. Nobody living can never make me turn back, because this land was made for you and me. Everybody join us. This land is your land, this land is my land. Louder. California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. I hear the tender woods from Zion, I hear Noah's waterfall, I hear the gentle Lamb of Judah sleeping at the feet of Buddha and the prophets, from Elijah to Ethiopia, to Avoca, take their places at the table when they're cold. And I hear them all, I hear them all, I hear them all. I hear them all, I hear them all, I hear them all. I hear them all, I hear them all, I hear them all.
Happy Independence Day.
Our next speech is from 1852, exactly 76 years after the Declaration of Independence, and is entitled, "What to the Slave is the 4th of July." This speech was written and delivered by Frederick Douglass, an American social reformer, abolitionist, orator, writer, and statesman. He was invited to speak about what the 4th of July means for America's black population at an event commemorating the signing of the Declaration held at Rochester, New York's Corinthian Hall on July the 5th, 1852. The 500 attendees who heard him speak each paid 12.5 cents. Reading Frederick Douglass today is the pastor of Andover Baptist Church, Lyndon Myers. Lyndon Myers was born in the Philippines and brought to America by his adoptive parents. He spent 15 years in the Air Force as a strategic weapons specialist, and upon retirement in 1994, joined IBM Lotus, where he worked full-time for the next 11 years. He was called into the preaching ministry in 1995, and then attended Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary, graduating with an MS degree in urban ministry in 2000. Lyndon was invited to become the pastor of Andover Baptist Church in 2004, where he has been serving for the past 21 years. He has been happily married to Tesha Lynn Smith Myers for nearly 37 years, and together they have 4 adult children and 2 beautiful granddaughters.
Mr. President, friends, and fellow citizens, the papers and placards say that I am to deliver a 4th of July oration. This certainly sounds large and out of the common way for me. The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, the distance between this platform and the slave plantation from which I escaped is considerable, and the difficulties to be overcome in getting from the latter to the former are by no means slight. That I am here today is, to me, a matter of astonishment as well as of gratitude. Fellow citizens, I shall not presume to dwell at length on the associations that cluster about this day. The simple story of it is that 76 years ago, the people of this country were British subjects. The style and the title of your sovereign people in which you now glory was not then born. You are under the British crown. But your fathers, who had not adopted the fashionable idea of this day, of the infallibility of government and the absolute character of its acts, presumed to differ from the home government in respect to the wisdom and the justice of some of those burdens and restraints. They went so far in their excitement as to pronounce the measure of government unjust, unreasonable, and oppressive, and altogether such as ought not to be quietly submitted to. I scarcely need say, fellow citizens, that my opinion of these measures fully accords with that of your fathers. To say now that America was right and England wrong is exceedingly easy. Fellow citizens, I am not wanting in respect for the fathers of this republic. The signers of the Declaration of Independence were brave men. They were great men too, great enough to give fame to a great age. It does not often happen to a nation to raise at one time such a number of truly great men. The point from which I am compelled to view them is not certainly the most favorable, and yet I cannot contemplate their great deeds with less than admiration. They were statesmen, patriots, and heroes, and for the good they did and the principles they contended for, I will unite with you to honor their memory. Fellow citizens, pardon me, allow me to ask, why am I called upon to speak here today? What have I, or those I represent, to do with your national independence? Are the great principles of political freedom and of natural justice embodied in that Declaration of Independence extended to us? And am I, therefore, called upon to bring our humble offering to the national altar and to confess the benefits and express devout gratitude for the blessings resulting from your independence to us? Would to God, both for your sakes and ours, that an affirmative answer could be truthfully returned to these questions. But such is not the state of the case. I say it with a sad sense of the disparity between us. I am not included within the pale of this glorious anniversary. Your high independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us. The blessings in which you this day rejoice are not enjoyed in common. The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence bequeathed by your fathers is shared by you, not by me. The sunlight that brought light and healing to you has brought stripes and death to me. This 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn. What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year, the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham, your boasted liberty an unholy license, your national greatness swelling vanity. Your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless, your denunciation of tyrants, brass-fronted impudence, your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery, your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade and solemnity, are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy, a thin veil to cover up crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages. This is not a nation on the earth. There is not a nation on the earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of the United States at this very hour. For it is not light that is needed, but a fire. It is not the gentle shower, but the thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed, and its crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced. Allow me to say, in conclusion, notwithstanding the dark picture I have this day presented to the state of the nation, I do not despair of this country. I therefore leave off where I began, with hope, while drawing encouragement from the Declaration of Independence, the great principles it contains, and the genius of American institutions. My spirit is also cheered by the obvious tendencies of the age. Nations do not now stand in the same relation to each other that they did ages ago. No nation can now shut itself up from the surrounding world and trot round in the same old path of its fathers without interference. The time was when such could be done. Long established customs of hurtful character could formally fence themselves in and do their evil work with social impunity. Knowledge was then confined and enjoyed by the privileged few, and the multitude walked on in a mental darkness. But a change has come now over the affairs of mankind. In the fervent aspirations of William Lloyd Garrison, I say, and let every heart join in saying it, God speed the year of Jubilee, the wide world o'er. When from their galling chains set free, the oppressed shall vilely bend the knee, and wear the yoke of tyranny like brutes no more. That year will come, and freedom's reign to man his plunder fights again restore. God speed the day when human blood shall cease to flow. In every clime be understood the claims of human brotherhood, and each return for evil good, not blow for blow. The day will come, all feuds to end, and faith and change into a faithful friend each foe. God bless you all, and God bless America.
The choral majority will now perform the spiritual entitled Wade in the Water, a song created and first sung by enslaved African Americans. The lyrics tell of a call to trust in God's guidance, even when facing uncertainty or challenging circumstances.
And I just wanted to mention that our featured soloist today is Crystal Dixon. She and her husband are on staff at Brooks School right up the road.
I stepped in the water, and the water was cold. the water.
I went to the water one day to pray.
God's gonna trouble the water.
And my soul got happy, I stayed all day.
God's gonna trouble the water. In the water. In the water, children. In the water. God's gonna trouble the water. God's gonna trouble the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
We will now hear excerpts from the William Jennings Bryan speech entitled Imperialism, delivered in Indiana on August the 8th, 1900. Bryan was an American lawyer, orator, and politician, and deeply opposed to American imperialism. While much of this speech argues against imperialism, that the US should stay out of international politics, Bryan also reflects upon the ideals of democracy and basic human rights, concepts which we highlight today. Judy Eskin is an Andover resident, progressive political activist, and co-leader of Greater Andover Indivisible, where she produces the weekly newsletter and co-coordinates the group's various postcard writing efforts, among other roles. She is also a gardener, artist, avid fiction reader, and with her former school committee chair husband, a parent of 2 wonderful daughters.
I feel that I owe an apology or explanation to the people who are to listen for the fact that I must read what I am going to say. It would be more pleasant to me and more agreeable to you to speak without notes, but I want to address that larger constituency which we reach through the newspapers, for it is 1,000 times as numerous as any crowd that could assemble here, and therefore in order that I may speak to all throughout the land. I have committed to writing what I desire to say and will ask for your indulgence while I read my speech. When I say that the contest of 1900 is a contest between democracy on the one hand and plutocracy on the other, I do not mean to say that all our opponents have deliberately chosen to give to organized wealth a predominating influence in the affairs of government. But I do assert that on the important issues of the day, the Republican Party is dominated by those influences which constantly tend to substitute the worship of money for the protection of the rights of man. In 1859, Lincoln said that the Republican Party believed in the man and the dollar, but that in case of conflict, it believed in the man before the dollar. This is the proper relation which should exist between the two. Man, the handiwork of God, comes first. Money, the handiwork of man, is of inferior importance. Man is the master, money the servant. But upon all important questions today, Republican legislation tends to make money the master and man the servant. The maxim of Jefferson, equal rights to all and special privileges to none, and the doctrine of Lincoln that this should be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, are being disregarded. and the instrumentalities of government are being used to advance the interests of those who are in a position to secure favors from the government. The Democratic Party is not making war upon the honest acquisition of wealth. It has no desire to discourage industry, economy, and thrift. On the contrary, it gives to every citizen the greatest possible stimulus to honest toil when it promises him protection in the enjoyment of the proceeds of his labor. Property rights are most secure when human rights are most respected. Democracy strives for civilization in which every member of society will share according to his merits. No one has a right to expect from society more than fair compensation for the services which he renders to society. If he secured more, it is at the expense of someone else. It is no injustice to him to prevent his doing injustice to another. To him who would, through either class legislation or in the absence of necessary legislation, trespass upon the rights of another, the Democratic Party says, "Thou shalt not." The Republicans say that this nation is in the hands of destiny. Washington believed that not only the destiny of our own nation, but the destiny of the Republican form of government throughout the world was entrusted to American hands. Washington was right. The destiny of this republic is in the hands of its own people, and upon the success of the experiment here rests the hope of humanity. No exterior force can disturb this republic, and no foreign influence should be permitted to change its course. What the future has in store for this nation, no one has authority to declare. But each individual has his own idea of the nation's mission, and he owes it to his country as well as to himself to contribute as best he may to the fulfillment of that mission. I can conceive of a national destiny surpassing the glories of the present and the past, a destiny which meets the responsibilities of today and measures up to the possibilities of the future. Behold a republic resting securely upon the foundation stones quarried by the revolutionary patriots from the mountain of eternal truth. A republic applying in practice and proclaiming to the world the self-evident propositions that all men are created equal, that they are endowed with inalienable rights, that governments are instituted among men to secure these rights, and that governments derive such powers from the consent of the governed. Behold a republic in civil and religious liberty, in which civil and religious liberty stimulates to earnest endeavor, and in which the law restrains every hand uplifted for a neighbor's injury. A republic in which every citizen is sovereign, but in which no one cares to wear a crown. Behold a republic standing erect while empires all around are bowed beneath the weight of their own armaments. A republic whose flag is loved while other flags are only feared. Behold a republic increasing in population, in wealth, in strength, and in influence, solving the problems of civilization and hastening the coming of a universal brotherhood. A republic which shakes thrones and dissolves aristocracies by its silent example and gives light and inspiration to those who sit in darkness. Behold a republic gradually but surely becoming the supreme moral factor in the world's progress and the accepted arbiter of the world's disputes. A republic whose history, like the path of the just, is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day.
Rockwood Taylor returns to the stage to perform A Change Is Gonna Come, written by Sam Cooke in 1964. Cooke felt compelled to write a song that spoke to his struggle and of those around him.
heard those words change in Frederick Douglass's speech. So we're going to sing this song about the change that we all hope is coming.
And the waters are troubled indeed. I don't know if it's God's doing or man's, but I do believe that sometimes things need to be completely dismantled before they can be rebuilt again better. I was born on the river in a little tent, and just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh yes, it will. It's been so hard living, but I'm afraid to die. I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh yes, it will. When I go to the movies and I go downtown, you know, someone's always telling me, don't you hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh yes, it will. And when I go to my brother and I say, brother, help me please, well, he always ends up knocking me. Oh, knocking me right back down on my knees. There's been times I thought I could not go on, but now I know I have the strength to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Yes, it will. Change gonna come. Oh, change gonna come. I said change, change, change gonna come. Oh yes it will, yes it will. Change gonna come.
Ben Taylor, Charlie Rockwood Farr. Thank you.
Thank you, Rockwood Taylor. We have one more speaker for you today. In a few moments, Ralph Bledsoe will perform a segment of the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech. But first I want to thank all of our speakers for participating in today's program. Your work on behalf of all members of our community is an inspiration. Thank you. I want to thank all those who brought their beautiful voices and instruments to our program, and to our sound engineers, Leona Chamey and Nate Wilmer. Thank you also to Sean Murphy, whose video recording today and editing effort this week are gratefully acknowledged. You can find Sean's video on the Friends of the 1836 Meeting House and North Andover CAM's website in the next couple of weeks. We appreciate North Andover CAM for providing today's sound system. Thank you to our fantastic event organizer, John Lenhoff, for his work coordinating today's amazing program. And now we turn back to our final speech entitled, I Have a Dream. On August the 28th, 1963, 187 years after the Declaration of Independence proclaimed that all men are created equal, 34-year-old Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King climbed the marble steps of the Lincoln Memorial to describe his vision of America to over 250,000 supporters. Ralph Bledsoe will perform excerpts of MLK's speech, which he has given in all four corners of Massachusetts over the last 20+ years. He's a physics and forensic science teacher at Andover High School, as well as the clerk for Andover Baptist Church. Member of the North Andover African American History Committee, and chair of the Andover Council on Aging. He was honored in 2020 by the Massachusetts State House Black and Latino Legislative Caucus. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. What a beautiful day, huh? I mean, I will just, after this is over, I'll just want to stay here and enjoy myself. It's so beautiful. I tell you what, though, I love this town, and I love the town of Andover. To me, we have two towns with one soul. Eight score and 2 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today, signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of African American slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 162 years later, the African American still is not free. 162 years later, the life of the African American is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 162 years later, the African American lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 162 years later, the African American is still languished in the corners of American society and finds herself in exile in her own land. So we have come here today to dramatize this shameful condition. In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was the promise that all women, yes, black women as well as white women, will be guaranteed the inalienable rights of life, liberty,
and the pursuit of happiness. Well, it is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the African American people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. So we've come to cash this check, a check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. I have a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all women are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the daughters of former slaves and the daughters of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of sisterhood. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black girls and black boys will be able to join hands with little white girls and white boys as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, that every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places shall be made plain, and the crooked places shall be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the hope that I go back to the South with. With this hope, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this hope, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood and sisterhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my mothers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America's to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the hiking Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when this happens, when we let freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state in every city. We will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black women and white women, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants, Catholics, and Muslims will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old African-American spiritual, free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.